Now we're going to sew the strap. So with the strap, you're going to fold it in half like this, and you can go ahead and iron it if it's going to help you sew. Then you're going to start off on the corner, and you're going to go ahead and sew down and all the way across. When you're about to get to the middle, leave a 2-inch gap, continue sewing all the way, and then come back up. And I'll do that on the machine right now. You're going to be sewing at 1/4 of an inch. Make sure you back tack. Get to the corner of your strap, and you're going to pivot. When you reach the middle of your strap, you're going to back tack. You're going to leave about 2 inches gap. You're going to put your needle back in, back tack, and then close it off. When you get to the corner, you're going to pivot up. And end with a back tack. So once you have sewn your strap down, where you left your gap, you're going to go ahead and flip it right side out. So I'm going to go ahead and flip it. So if you want to point out your corners, you can go back in and use the pointy part of the tool and just go ahead and point out those corners. And then iron your strap so it's nice and flat. Okay, so once you have pressed your strap, I want you to put an edge stitch on each edge of the strap. So you're going to have an edge stitch here and then also on the other side. And that's going to complete your strap. Now we're going to attach the strap onto the bag. You can use any type of strap you want to attach to the bag. I'm going to show you the one that is provided with the pattern. So you're going to get your bag, the exterior part, and you're going to flip it right side out. So you're going to get your strap, and on the seam, you're going to put the top part on the edge, and you're going to edge stitch that down. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it. So I know I want my strap to be on top of here. Now I'm going to get only one layer of the bag, and it just depends how long you want your strap. I want it pretty long because I want it over my shoulder, but if you want it to go higher up, you can. But I'm going to put mine closer towards the bottom, about 1 or 2 inches towards the bottom seam, and I'm going to place it like this, lay it out flat, and I'm going to pin it down here. So you get to pick where you want your strap to be, but I think it will look better towards the bottom. Make sure that you're putting it in the center of that seam, and then I'm going to pin it down. So I'm going to sew this part down at 1/2 inch, and I'm going to sew the top one right on the edge. So I'm sewing like barely 1/4 on the top. Back stitch, back stitch. Now I'm going to only sew one layer, so I have to move my bag and stick it in here. So I'm only sewing through one layer. But the good thing, we pinned it, so we know that it's not going to move. So now I know that I'm just sewing my strap onto the back because everything is moved out of its way. And then I'm going to edge stitch this down. Make sure your needle is up. And I'm going to remove the pin. And I'm going to clip off the thread. And I'm not going to move from this spot because I want to have a clean edge. I just don't want it to show like this. So I'm going to flip up my strap like this. So once it's flipped up, I'm going to have a nice clean crease right here, and I'm going to stitch that down. So it's going to look like that. So now that we have both of the bags sewn at the bottom and the seam, we're going to put them together. You're going to turn the lining inside out, and then we're going to put this bag in here, and you're going to match up the side seam to the side seam. So now that I have the side seams matching, this area where we have the interfacing, I'm going to fold it in on itself. So it's going to be folded about 2 inches over. I'm going to fold it all the way around the 2 inches. And I would suggest to pin it into place, because now we're going to sew this lining part down, and then we add our grommets at the end. So I would like to pin this down to make sure everything's going to be nice and even. And you can start off with your seams. It doesn't have to be 2 inches, but whatever length you decide, make sure that it's even all the way around. Ironing could help, so if you want to iron it down your length, you can do that too. So once you have pinned everything all the way around, you're going to go ahead and sew it down. So on the bias tape, you can either sew it right on top, or you can make another stitch right on the edge bottom and close it up. Now we're going to be adding the grommets on top of the duffel bag. So the first thing you want to do is you want to lay the duffel bag flat. Once you've laid it out flat, I know that I want a grommet on the center front of the duffel bag and the center back of the duffel bag. So we're going to mark the center front and the center back. After that, I'm going to measure the bag, and my measurement is 15, so I know roughly I'm going to want to have 6 grommets in the middle of the bag, and I want them about 2 inches spread apart. So I'm just going to place my grommets just to 2 inches apart to make sure that's where I want them. I actually think I'll add one more, so like 7. Depending on the size of your grommet, you'll figure out how much you want this spread apart. So mine is about an inch and a half that they're spread apart. Once you figured that out, you're going to go ahead and mark your grommets. So once you have your markings, you're going to mark the same on the other side, and then you're going to add your grommets. Here's the end result of how the grommets will look like on top of the duffel bag. All that's left to do is lace your string of choice on top. And this is how the bag will look like when it's completed. We have our pockets here, so if you want to add some notebooks or some tools, you can do that. We have the string up here to adjust the top. And then we also have our strap.